What's up, party rental people? Welcome to the Bounce House Bosses podcast, where real party rental business owners share their stories, struggles, and secrets to success. I'm your host, Tariq Al-Khatib with the Vet Hawk, and here's a quick preview of today's episode.
You're gonna say, Tariq, you need to get off and let Tom do these from now on, because this guy has a radio voice.
And communication means it's two-way. And I said earlier, what you say often is not what people hear. Getting 20 and 30 and 40%, even 50% discounts on our normal rental because they've been with us for 10 years and they're getting that discount.
All right, welcome. Today, I am joined by none other than Tom Slonaker. Now, before he says anything, before he even opens his mouth, I want you guys to listen to this guy's voice. I've always been fascinated. Hold on. Once you guys hear his voice, you're gonna say, Tariq, you need to get off and let Tom do these from now on, because this guy has a radio voice. Go ahead, Tom. Say hello.
Well, I grew up a little earlier than most people my age. And so when my voice matured, everybody said, you ought to be in a broadcast career. So I did that for 25 years. I was a television, radio sportscaster.
That is so cool. Let's start with that. Who the heck are you? Tell me your story. How did you get into the party rental business? And how did you tell me a little bit more about that? That's super interesting. So sports.
Well, I was always interested in sports. And so when I went off to Wake Forest and I couldn't play basketball anymore, wasn't big and strong and good enough, I decided I wanted to be a mouthpiece and be able to broadcast games. So I got into broadcasting very early on. And I did that for about 25 years. I was the voice of James Madison University, University of Virginia, all of that. And then 3 years with the University of North Carolina. So 25 years with ESPN, Raycom, Jefferson Pilot, broadcasting football, basketball games, college games all over the country. And that was a sideline for me. I was a financial planner for 25 years, a CLU, CHFC, chartered financial consultant.
So while you were doing the sports broadcasting, you were also a financial planner.
Exactly. My dad was a chief financial officer of a credit union. I watched him grow that business from about a $50,000 business up to a $3.5 million business in just a few years, and finally $350 million when he retired about 36 years later. And I was always interested in ways to make money grow. So I had the luxury of being a financial planner and then enjoy the sportscasting kind of as a sideline. We call it a side hustle in this business, and I hate that term.
I don't like that term.
Yeah, I don't like it. I want people to be professional and feel that they're committed, not hustling.
So you don't want to call it a side hustle. You want to call it a side
profession.
Side profession?
Yeah, for me, I think our business needs to be treated as a profession. I don't like the thought that people are just in it as a sideline, although I realize a lot of people get in the business that way. And frankly, that's kind of how I got into business. I built and owned and ran and managed 2 fast food restaurants for about 12 years. It was the hardest job of my life. I admire anybody who can make it in the fast food business. These were Arby's roast beef restaurants. And I was looking for.
So hold on, you owned an Arby's?
I built it. Yeah, built it. 2 of them. Yes.
Oh my God, I had no idea. I love their curly fries. Did they always have the curly fries? Or
they had the curly fries back then. That was one of the things that attracted me to the business. It was a little different.
Okay.
But it's hard business, man. It's 24/7, and you never ever let up. It was a hard, tough business. So, but that's how I got into the inflatable business, because we were trying to compete with McDonald's. They had the playground, and we were looking for a way to attract families and young people. So I had a cousin who was in Maryland who ran an inflatable company. He said, why don't you build an inflatable that looks like your restaurant? And so we did that. We built an inflatable. This was back in 1999. And we built this inflatable, and it took off. People loved it. They came to the restaurant, and then people started asking, well, can we have it at our house? So the next year we built 2, and then we built 4, and now we have 160, 26 years later.
Hold on. So you were manufacturing your own inflatables?
No. I say built them. We went to some companies and said to them, build one that looks like a restaurant.
So you pretty much designed it. Wow. And do that here in the US, or was that like abroad?
Yeah, it was in California at the time. It's a long time ago. I said 26 years. It was really 20 years ago that we started this.
And where are you based off now?
Charlottesville, Virginia.
Virginia. Wow. And you have 160 inflatables right now.
We do. Yeah, a lot to manage.
And you have an indoor place too?
We during COVID, we decided that was a good time to build a warehouse on land that I had built that I had bought many years earlier. So we built a 5,000 square foot warehouse, designed it very much like the pieces of rental that we had had over the course of 20 years, and so yeah, it's kind of an indoor facility in the wintertime because we invite people to come in and have parties during the winter also there.
Oh, okay. So
We're
so
not
your
in FC.
warehouse, so you
Yeah, the
use your
warehouse.
same warehouse in the wintertime, Virginia cold.
Yeah.
That's always been 5,000 square feet is not a lot though. Like you're able to fit 160 inflatables and still do that?
We have a couple of acres, so we have a couple of sheds where we, and
Got it.
have 7 vehicles, 2 big box trucks, so we
Okay.
have a lot of things stored there. But
Stored there.
it is a lot.
Wow. There's so much I want to ask you. We're going on. You freaking started this business to compete with McDonald's. Like, wow. And that worked for you.
Yeah, yeah. It took a
Interesting.
life of its own. I got rid of the restaurants, a couple of years later, and this business took off. And I was an age when I was looking to kind of cut back and not work quite as hard as I was in my financial planning business. And I'd
Yeah.
given up the sportscasting because my children all went off to college, and they all thought when you go to college you're supposed to play a sport because Dad always did that, going around the country. And then I decided I'm not going to broadcast games anymore because I was missing my own kids' experience. Now
Mm,
I have 9 grandkids, and 4 of them are playing sports in college, so I'm still on the road a lot.
9 grandkids. I love that. And how long have you been in business for the party rental business?
2004.
20 years, 21
Yep.
years this year.
Yep.
Wow. That's a long time. You must have seen the industry change a lot. I mean, you went through a few recessions too. How was
Sure
that?
did. Yeah, we did. And that my financial planning background helped me a lot in those days because when the sun is shining, you got to prepare for the rain. And so, in this business, when times are good, people they try to, kind of keep up with that. They extend themselves a little too much. They find themselves with narrow margins, and when things go bad, they can't really plan for that, and they haven't planned for it. And that's why I've seen a lot of companies come and go in our market. We've seen a lot of people try to cut us on price, thinking that by offering a cheaper product, they can grab some business, and some of them do for a year or two. But we have a pretty loyal following. We do about 600 events a year, and a lot of our folks have been with me for 10 or 15 years. In fact, I have some young kids that work for me that started out as customers.
That is such a feat. That is what it's all about. You mind me asking? You don't have to give me a number, but approximately, like, what is your? You guys are making at least 6 figures, right? Have you have
Yeah.
you
Oh
have you
well,
reached
we're a little over 600,000.
600,000 a year? Okay,
Yeah. Yep.
that's
Yeah, that
that's a
tells you
pretty good
our
feat.
average is pretty high because we're doing a lot of corporate events. They will drive up our business.
Hold on. So you're doing 600 events a year, and you make $600,000 a year. So your average ticket is about $1,000.
Yeah.
Whoa, that's crazy. I'm at about 500, and I'm happy with that. We used to be lower. Are you doing mainly inflatables? Are you doing tents and other things? What kind of
Well,
inventory do you
as you might be able to tell from this white beard and hair, I'm up there in years, and so I'm not looking to work harder for less. I started the company with the idea, kind of like really the Arby's influence too. They're not cheap fast food. You pay a little bit more for a roast beef because you have to roast it for 3 hours. You can't put it on the market for $1. And I felt that way about our business when I started it. I didn't want the customer who was going to try to nickel and dime me every day. I wanted to deal with the customer who felt like they wanted a value experience that was upscale. So we've developed a pretty nice clientele to do that. And it doesn't bother me when somebody comes in and tries to offer a cheaper product because I know in the long run, I'm giving them better labor. My people are really good, and they get compliments all the time. I look at my Google reviews, and customers are always complimenting the professionalism and the compassion that my team shares. And we try to hire people that come from good families that have good backgrounds educationally. I naturally look for people that have a sports background because I think
Okay.
they're dedicated to their athletic ability, and that's helpful in our industry as well.
Absolutely, man. So much. Are you doing mainly corporate then, or do you do a lot of backyards?
I don't really know in percentage. I haven't looked at it for quite a while, but it's diminishing every year. But we still get a lot of people that call and they just say, "Well, we're too expensive. I won't do an event for less than three, maybe $350."
Yeah,
Um, I don't see how anybody can stay in business and pay
I agree.
wages that we want to pay our people and provide the insurance and business amenities that I think are important. God, we spent a lot of money in the last couple of weeks just cleaning and sanitizing because of the bad weather. And
Yeah.
I'm fortunate to have 5,000 square feet indoors where I can lift and put things in there and not have to worry about the bad weather.
What's your favorite part about owning a party rental business? You've done other things, right? And you've
Yeah.
settled on this. Why?
Well, my life has always been around kids. So I love my family. I have 9 grandchildren, 3 children. In fact, today is one of my children's birthdays. So I'm thinking
Oh,
back
happy
to
birthday.
50, 51 years ago. I'm sitting here holding an infant who now has all of her children. She has 4 in her family. They're all in Iceland right now. So we live a
Wow.
good life. We live a family life, and I love to share family life with our customers. And I think that's what attracts people to come back year after year.
Man, you are just getting me in the feels, man. Get me motivated. I love that. I think quick shameless plug for the Bounce House School Book.
Aha,
Have you read it?
you got it. Yes,
You've read it? All right. The
I've read it.
very the very first chapter, a lot of people are like marketing and sales and how do you get more bookings? But the very first chapter, I started with vision because I'm younger, right? But I have already started to feel the mistakes that I've made because all I thought about was business, business, business. How do I grow? I've it's you really have to start with why am I starting this business? What is my end goal? Because if you're not careful, your dream business will actually compete with your dream life and it will take out your dream life. You might have your dream business, but you'll destroy your dream life. You'll lose your family. You'll lose. And I think that is so important. And I hope anybody who's watching this, who's been through that, I'm sorry it hurts, but I really hope that other people can really take this seriously who are just starting out. It is not all about the money. And like you're saying, Tom, you had that vision and now here you are, you're able to sit in here and talk to me and you know that your business is running and you're able to spend your kids are out there. You've provided pretty well. So I think you'd agree that it's super important to have a clear vision and clear goals about why you're getting into this beyond money.
Tariq, that's well said. You said it as well as anybody can. And I think if you convey that to the people that not just the customers that you're engaged with, but your team, your people
Mm,
that really know that you care about their growth too. I never did go into this, and I gotta say I'm very fortunate. I didn't have to go into it for the money. I was doing well enough on my own to not worry about that. So I'm at a time in my life where I carry no debt. I don't need it. I don't want it. And boy, it was a burden for me when I ran those restaurants. Man, there was a lot of pressure on me because I had the creditors out there that I had to
mm.
satisfy. And if I didn't have the income, I couldn't grow. That was a pressure on me I didn't want to have in this business. So, we run our business on cash basis, really. I'm saying from my personal standpoint, I don't go into debt for what we have. So we built it up on our own money.
I like that. So we don't have a Chick-fil-A in our area. My wife and I, we like Chick-fil-A. So we were saying we should open a Chick-fil-A. So you don't recommend it,
I should have done Chick-fil-A. I love
huh?
Chick-fil-A. I
I,
made a mistake. I should have done the Chick-fil-A, not the Arby's. But
Not the Arby's. Okay. So you reckon so maybe if anything. No, I don't I hear the margins are so thin in like restaurants business. Like that's something we take for granted, I think, where you can buy an inflatable and make your money back in a few rentals. In the restaurant business, you're making very, very thin margins. Is that true?
it is true, and I really wasn't personally in it for the restaurant. I'm always been about the dirt. Real estate has been very good to me. I have
Mm,
a saying in life as a financial planner. I told people income is overrated. Appreciation is underappreciated. Think
mm.
about that for a minute. If you own something that is growing in value, you're getting a multiplier effect. You're getting tax benefits. You're getting the deferral of the growth of the value of the business or property that you own, and you're getting income from it. That's $3 working as if $1 were invested. And, that to me has been a secret of making sure that you get a little bit of velocity and growth in your financial aspect of life. So
You said income is overrated, appreciation is underappreciated.
that's my saying. Yep.
Okay.
In fact, I don't take any money out of my company. I don't draw a salary. I don't draw any income. I've used all the income from the business to pay off the loan to create the business. So now we have a building, and the building alone is worth about $1.2 million to $1.4 million. And we have no debt on it. I don't have that. In fact, I, frankly, could lower my prices and attract really cheap business if I wanted to, and drive some of my friends and competitors out of business if I really wanted to do that. But I don't. I want to attract a different audience, a different customer, a different market. I don't. I don't really care about, for me personally, the income that it provides. I don't need that. My business is the growth of all the things I own, the appreciation of the properties, and they provide income to me. So we have two companies, one owns the property and one owns the company, and the company pays the company that owns the property. So it's a way of making money grow without taking income from it.
Now, to be fair, you do get an income from somewhere else then, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's
so you
the
have to have
most important.
you have to have a cash cow. It's for you in your case, it's just not the inflatable business. For somebody else, Tom's
Yeah.
not saying to starve yourself. Okay, cool.
And it's
So
not my only business. I've had a lot
yeah,
of other businesses. My other businesses have done that. I've been in the real estate business for many, many years. So real estate is important to me.
what's the secret with the party rental business? What's been your secret for the growth that you've obviously done well? What's what
I
what
think
what
the secret,
advice do you have, or let's talk about like growth.
yeah, I tell you, well, the specific answer to that question is that I don't believe in spending what you earn. I believe that you better take 20 to 30% of every dollar that you earn and put it into something else that's growing, not spending it on things that are luxury or depreciating items. You know, I remember buying a house for $20,000 that today is worth 300,000.
Wow.
I remember buying a piece of property for $26,000 that today is worth 300,000. Selling those things and moving up because you can afford the mortgage payment is a mistake a lot of Americans make. Instead of holding on and growing elsewhere and keeping the property that can produce that multiplier I was talking about, appreciation, depreciation, and income. So a lot of the properties that I own are producing income for me right now that I don't need income from the rental business. That makes
Now
sense?
this is it does, but now this is off topic. But for us listening here, if you're watching and the bubble hasn't popped yet, which we've been waiting on for years, do you still recommend getting into real estate? Or I know people who are renting right now who have been who told me I was dumb 10 years ago, for thinking about buying a house. They're like, oh, the market's the bubble's gonna collapse any minute. I'm waiting for the market to crash. And I was like, literally, like we bought our first house, what, maybe 7 years ago, and they're still waiting, and they're literally still renting. So I think about that, and I'm like, man, had they bought back then they would have been in a better spot. But then again, now I'm thinking about what you're saying, and I'm like, man, maybe I should wait for the market to crash. So, what are your thoughts about real estate? Is there a bad time to invest, or do you wait?
Well, yeah, I spent a lot of money renting warehouse space for many years. I
Mm,
made some people pretty rich, giving them, in fact, an
mm.
asset that today is worth an awful lot of money. It took me a long time. It took me, maybe 14 years to be able to build my own place. And now I'm enjoying the fruits of, I spent about 700,000. It's worth $1.2 million at minimum right now. Um, so I love real estate. I think the mistake people make is they think of real estate as their shelter, and you're only, with your shelter, you're paying the bank to own that. You don't really own it.
Mm.
The bank owns it. If you don't think that's true, just stop paying the bank and see who really takes the house. You know, uh, so the deal is, I paid ahead on mortgages. I wanted to get rid of the banksters. Did I say banksters? I meant to say
Banksters.
bankers.
That's a good term.
Bankster.
So your
That
house is
wasn't
paid
a
off.
mistake.
Your house is paid off now. And like if I were to tell you, hey, I'm thinking about getting into real estate, buying property, would you recommend I do that now with everything being so high?
Oh yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah.
so
Give
there's
it.
never a bad time. Just jump in, don't overthink
Uh,
it.
Listen, I'm 78 years old. I haven't seen a bad time. I've seen the dips in the market, but the dips have always just dipped into what I'd already gained.
Got it. Let's talk about some bad times. How was the how was like '08? I was there for COVID, but I know there was a few recessions that you went through. I think there was like '01, something like that.
Yeah.
How is the party rental industry? Uh, how was that during those recessions, and what did you learn
Yeah.
from that?
When people found money was short to do the luxury items, we started promoting staycations because people weren't taking vacations; they weren't going anywhere, and we managed to do pretty well with those backyard parties. We didn't do the corporate events, of course, when COVID shut everything down. I was always amazed at how that virus was smart enough to know it was only going to affect public school children, but the private schools who stayed in business kept us in business. We went from 400 events a year to 167, but the private school kids still played. They still had fun on our product. They kept us going, and that gave me the time actually to build the warehouse. So um, I think you just have to plan for those times. As I said earlier, if you put 20 to 30% away of the good time money that you're earning, that money's going to be there to help you survive the bad times, but also that's to launch you into the next step to create the multiplier, to create more financial growth. Maybe it's in our business, the financial business of renting inflatable attractions and mechanical devices like we do, or maybe it's real estate, or maybe it's some other area of being able to put your money into something that's growing. So,
Absolutely,
how you use your income is important to me.
definitely good to diversify. Is there anything that have you made any big mistakes in the party rental industry? Is there
Oh
anything
my
you wish you
gosh,
knew
yeah.
sooner?
Oh yeah, yeah. Of course, when I started, I was still in my 60s. So
You started the party rental business in your 60s.
yeah, yeah,
Wow. Okay.
yeah. So well, no, I guess 50s. I'm
50,
sorry,
50, I guess.
50s.
Okay, so if you're
Looking back, I was
doing the math,
2004.
that's still a lot of people are like, "Oh, I'm too old," and you're
Well,
absolutely not.
see, I
You're saying
started years
nonsense.
ago understanding that there's a physical age and there's your mental age. And so,
Mm,
I might have been born in 1947, but I'm still only 42 years old.
I've seen you on the dance floor at IAPA. I have. So,
Oh,
so
that's bad.
what's one thing that you wish you knew sooner, in for the party rental industry, for your party rental business? What's one big
Well,
mistake you made?
yeah, I guess when I first started, I started with small stuff that I could handle individually, and I didn't grow very quickly because I didn't need to. I just grew as the market grew me. People in demand caused me to buy more because I needed more to be able to handle the demand. So I never got ahead of myself. I think that's very important in this business. I see a lot of people that go into some pretty heavy debt and then they're slaves to those payments.
Mm,
And they don't have the opportunity to create the equity that I'm talking about being so important to really sustain the tough times. So, I when you talk about mistakes, boy, we make a lot of them, and all of us do. And for me, the biggest mistake is, and I come from a career of communication, so I try very hard to communicate clearly to people, but I understand that a lot of times what you say to people is not what they hear. It's very
mm,
hard to interpret the way a person is receiving the message you're trying to give them. But communication to me or miscommunication is the
yes.
biggest mistake that we make with the people around us. Even in our own families, that's true, but especially with our workers and our customers.
Yeah, that hits hard. For I actually made a post yesterday. So a couple days ago was the anniversary of the passing of my little brother,
I
and
was thinking about that.
we started the business together, and everything happens for a reason. But you're absolutely right. I wish that I communicated a little bit better because towards the end we were not on good terms because of our party rental business. Because he was young, he wanted to be the boss, just like any kid. He had all these ideas and I would just shut him down. And he's 10 years younger than me, and I'd say, "Hey, listen, man, I'm the boss. I'm 26. You're 16. Just go roll up that bounce house." And he's like, "Hey, what if we did this and what if we did that? And I was like, hey man, just fall in line. And I wish that I did some learning and learned some communication to say, okay, it sounds like you have a knack for leadership. Let's kind of get you to learn some kind of how to communicate so that we could put you in a leadership role. So you're absolutely right. And regrets is one thing, but what keeps my brother's memory alive is that, hey, because of that mistake, because of that experience, I am a better father. I am a better husband. I am a better boss. It sucks that I had to learn at his expense. But we all make those mistakes and you can't dwell on them. But you're absolutely right, Tom. Those, if you're watching this and if you're not watching this, then you should. That's the mistake. I didn't go looking for content like this. I didn't go looking for people like you or people who are ahead of me. I was just like, hey, what can I learn about marketing? What can I learn about sales? I wish that I learned more about communication. You are absolutely right. Super, super important.
Yeah, I make that mistake all the time. And you know what? There are about 5 or 6 instances that I can instantly recall in my life that I wish I could go back and change. But I just didn't realize at the time the mistake that I was making. And it came down to not really hearing the other person and communicating effectively back to them.
Well said. Very well said. Tom, you said you started in your 50s. Now let's shift. I want to talk a little bit more about marketing and all these Google ads and Event Hawk and all that. We just had a roundtable discussion the other day. It got really, really heated, and somebody was saying, "Listen, I'm old. I don't know how to do all this computer stuff. That's why I hired Event Hawk." And then somebody else was saying, "Well, you still," because he was saying, Event Hawk didn't do this. It turned all about Event Hawk, and they're like, "Well, he's like, I didn't get to send them the pictures because I didn't know how." And it was just and they were telling me, you need to take a computer class or something. But here I hear you started in your 50s. Has that ever been a challenge for you, for anybody who's older who's listening?
Yeah,
The technology, the marketing, it changes so fast. How have you been able to stay up to date with all that?
it's really hard on me. What I do, the answer to your question, the basic answer to the question is that I try to do what I do well and assign the responsibilities of doing things that are important to the people that do it well. I don't do
Well
that.
said. Yes. So you're good at delegating.
And that's why I hire you, because I don't want to learn what I need to know to be effective with Google and Meta. So I trust your experience. I trust your knowledge. I trust that you're going to do the best that you possibly can for us, because that in turn relates to doing the best for yourself. But I don't want to, and let me tell you, I just bought an automobile last year that I look at that thing, I still haven't learned all the things that I need to know about making that vehicle work properly. And every time I'm in it, I think back to 1972. In that year, I bought an airplane.
Bought an airplane?
I bought an airplane in 1972. I hired a guy to teach me how to fly it. I learned to fly. I flew that plane for 12 years. I loved it.
Oh
Today's automobiles are harder than that damn airplane. And so I don't want to learn those kind of things. I'm too old to be distracted by things that are going to take me away from what I do well. Trust the people who do that well.
We got to pause here because listen to, here we have Tom, who's very successful and not, some people get rich quick, and then it's like, oh well, who knows how long that'll last. Tom, you've obviously got a track record, and what he's telling us here is that one of the mistakes that take you away from wealth is trying to learn everything, because here we were just the other day, like I said, the advice that was given to this gentleman was, hey, you need to take a computer class. And you're saying, hey, instead of that, clearly that's not a passion of yours. Just hire somebody who's good with computers and invest your money instead of your time. Am I saying that right?
Pause, hold up. Hey, if you're enjoying the podcast, please don't forget to subscribe, comment, like, do whatever you got to do down there. And if you know somebody who you think can benefit from this, please go ahead and share this with them. It's a lot of work doing all this for free, so it would help us if you went ahead and shared it. I'd really appreciate it. And if you want to work with Event Hawk to get the results like these guys were getting, or if you just want some of our freebies, go ahead and comment the word podcast or text the word podcast to 708-401-6465. Again, that's 708-401-6465. And when you comment or text the word podcast, we'll send you all of the resources from this episode and other episodes for things like the Bounce House School book, how to book a call or book a demo with Event Hawk to see if we can help you with your party rental business, how to get 0% funding so you guys can buy more inventory and have a dirty warehouse like me, and how to get just our templates and all of our freebies. So with that, thank you again for watching. Back to the show.
You're saying exactly right. And there was a time in my life when I was a young man and wanted to have it all. I was in technology. When I was a young guy in broadcasting, you had to learn a lot of things about that. And flying an airplane is certainly not an easy task.
Yeah, I can imagine.
That's history for me now because I've done that. I need people who are really good at this new technology, which changes daily. God, how many scams do we get every day? The most recent was now, the meta scams are driving me crazy. Every day I get 3 or 4 of those.
Every day.
And it's hard to tell that they're not real.
They suspend the real accounts, but then the fake ones, I don't know how they get through. I don't know how many times my account was suspended. So that's very well said. You're doing, a lot of us here are in these like, how do I learn Google Ads? How do I do this? And you're absolutely right, man. You can, and some things you have to do, but if you really want to get ahead, I love that. Actually, one of my favorite books up there is Buy Back Your Time. And it's all about, the things that there's things that only you can do, which you mentioned, building that culture, being a father, being a husband. You can't hire someone, you don't want to hire somebody to do that, but those are things that only you can do, but hire other people to deliver the bounce house, to do the marketing, to do the cleaning, because sure, you could do some of it. And sometimes you have to in the beginning, but if it's going to take you months to learn, or you could do it quick and do it wrong, then it does a lot of times cost you more to do it yourself than to have just hired somebody who did it right the first time. So with that,
it's important too for your staff to see you're in there. Also, I'm in the warehouse cleaning toilets. I'm wiping down units with that. When I can do that side by side, I can't lift the things I used to be able to lift, 15 years ago. I let the forklift and my motorized dollies and my workers do that work. And they're really good about respecting what I can and shouldn't do anymore. I'm amazed sometimes, though, at 18-year-olds that can't do what some of my 50-year-olds can.
Yeah. Well, there's a difference between not doing something because you're saying, hey, I'm going to delegate this to somebody who knows what they're doing versus I'm not going to do this because, I'm too good for it. We'll clean bathrooms. Yeah, that's not, you're humbling yourself. That's great. So let's switch gears. Let's talk about a little bit more about the digital side. You've been with Event Hawk. How long have you been with us? It's been a little while.
Oh, several years, probably.
Several years.
3 or 4.
Yeah, you've been with us a while. You've yelled at me a couple times. I remember, where you've come in when it was like, hey, I'm frustrated with this, and we're like, we know you well. Tom is very well known at Event Hawk. Like, Tom's in the Zoom again. Tom's calling. We love you, but you're pretty famous at Event Hawk because we've been together for a long time, and I love that you we are your go-to, and that's what I tell people when I'm like, these people that keep calling us or whatever. That's a really good thing because they trust us for everything. Because like they'll say, well, I don't know how to do that. He's asking about, I'm like, listen, this is a good thing. We've positioned ourselves as the go-to for Tom for anything. And if we can't answer that, then maybe we can point him in the right direction. But tell me, what's your favorite part about working with us at Event Hawk? Now that you've been with us for so long, you've seen a lot of changes over the years.
Well, I think, for me, it takes the pressure off of knowing if I'm doing the thing the right way, because I still, try to look at posting stuff, and we all know how Google and Meta filter everything that you put on there. And, if you don't really know how to efficiently do it, you're wasting an awful lot of time. I still do a lot of just posting, and I've stopped boosting my posts anymore because I just feel like what you do is so much more effective. Staying on top of changing the content is my biggest challenge, making sure that I provide to you the fact that, hey, now it's hot, I got to get water slides out here now. Got to get some promotion on that. Now is the time of the year. The timing is always very difficult, making sure that we're doing the right thing at the right time of the year. And the fact that you do so well at SEO in the wintertime, the best time to be boosting our search engine optimization. But now, my questions are about the effectiveness of Google. I haven't really used Google as much because I've run into some obstacles with them, and I'm counting on you guys to be able to help us with that. But I'm also in a little bit of a different situation, Tariq, than a lot of people. I'm not sure at my age how much more I really want to take on.
Hmm.
I'm comfortable at the level my company is right now. And the more pressure I put on all of us, um, at my age, I'm just not interested in taking on more pressure. If I have the right people in the right place to manage that and they like what they're doing, I'm happy with it. But I don't really feel like I need more customers. I just need to serve the ones I have the best way I can. And
Well,
again,
let
we're
me.
growing with these big events. We're doing a lot of big events. It's not, I say big, there are a lot of companies out there doing much bigger than we are. I have just saw the videos on Bounce House Atlanta, and man,
Uh,
blows your mind, doesn't it?
they grew pretty quick. Yeah.
But then, I'm sitting back saying, gosh, if we do 4,000, 6,000, 8,000, 12,000, that's a big event. That boosts my backyard party average up pretty high when you start
Yeah.
doing events like that. And if you get a few of those and they're good and they keep coming back year after year because of your quality, you just don't have to work so hard on marketing.
Well, let's talk about that because I have a belief that there's no such thing. Let me see how I can put this. I don't believe that there's a guarantee that any customer is going to come back. People say, "Oh, well, I already got this customer. I don't need to run Google ads because they're going to come." They don't owe you that. They very a lot of my repeat customers, they find me on Google ads every year. They're still clicking my Google ad or still on Facebook because they're only working with me once a year. We try to do things like say, hey, save this number, and we send them an email. And a lot of them do. A lot of them call us directly, like, hey, I rented with you last year. But some of them, they're filling out the pop-up all over again. They're clicking the ad. I'm like, you could have just come to me directly. But have you experienced that where, like what you're saying, there's not much more that you want? Do you still feel that even though you have a loyal customer base, do you think the day will ever come where you'll say, hey, well, I have a loyal customer base. I'm going to stop digital marketing altogether because these people are always going to be loyal to me.
No, I would never stop. In fact, it's just part of establishing your identity in your community. People, I think, need to see your message is getting out there, to recognize the fact that, we've been around since 2004. That says a lot when somebody looks at our prices and sees that we're a little higher than the guy down the street, but gosh, these guys have survived. They've lasted and they got a lot of Google reviews that are very high. So I feel like there's no reason to ever stop that. And of course, my background in broadcasting has always taught me there's no disadvantage to getting your message out and advertising.
Marketing. So how are you marketing right now? So you mentioned SEO. What are we doing for you? I actually don't know. I don't know. So what
Yeah,
services do you have with EventHawk?
the SEO and meta ads are basically what we're doing. Although, we've talked about for the last year doing more with Google, and
Interesting.
we're going to.
Most people we talk to, they're really heavy on the Google ads and a little bit of Meta, Facebook, Instagram. But you're saying what's worked really well for you is the Facebook and Instagram ads. That's been primary for you.
Yeah, and I pay no attention to Instagram, but I know I'm not the market. I'm at my age, I'm not looking at Instagram, but I know the people who are
They're
looking at
out
it,
there.
people are interested. So I
And,
trust
and
your people.
Instagram is important because the next generation of moms are on Instagram. They may not be on Facebook. Like my daughter tells me, Dad, you got to get on TikTok because your Facebook is for old people. I'm like, well, I'm not renting to seventh graders, so I don't care. I don't. She's like, nobody knows her. I'm like, I don't want to be on. So, but Instagram is what's cool is you can using meta ads. It's the same company, Facebook and Instagram. A lot of people don't know Facebook and Instagram are the
Right.
same company, so you can market to both. And
You want
and
to
we're
get both.
and
Yep.
we're that's what EventHawk is doing for you, and that's been working very well for you, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it has. We're still at a point where I'm trusting all of what you do to make that happen for us. So
Dang, you
I'm
don't sound too
glad
confident.
that I'm glad to have you there. You be my advocate. All right.
um, I'm glad to hear it goes both ways. So are you recommending? I guess the question is, for somebody that's watching this, are you recommending the Meta ads or the Google ads or the SEO, or what do you recommend
All
just from your
three. I
experience?
think all three are essential. When your business is especially starting out, you need all three, but it's the redundancy that matters. It's not the one-time shots, it's continuing to do it and making sure that you're marketing appropriately at the time of the year. It goes back to the timing. We know SEO is important when the business is dying down, We got to keep our images out there so people recognize us when it's time for them to search, and Meta is giving them an opportunity to see that we're out there, and Google's in there saying, okay, we're capturing what we know this person is already interested in. So the
So you're
combination of
hitting
all that.
all three, and you have our pro package where we're doing basically SEO in the off season, Facebook ads in the busy season. Is that how you're
Yep,
doing it? Okay,
that's it.
and you're
Your pro
trusting
package is great. Yeah, great
you're
advantage of being able to put it all together.
you're trusting the process, and we're learning. I know for a fact that we've pissed you off a few times, and I don't mind because hey, we're learning. That's
I
okay.
can't remember that. I don't remember the bad stuff.
I'm glad you don't. I'm glad you don't because I'm personally like, oh man, Tom's mad. But hey, you know what? You've stuck with us and we've grown because of it. And I think I do think that we've pissed off some customers in my party rental business. We all have. And it's great when people give you a chance. Like I had to thank a customer the other day. She just called me and she's like, Tariq, the bounce house was dirty. And I'm like, and she's like, I'm so sorry to call. I'm like, no, thank you so much. Like you could have just left me a bad review. You could have rented with somebody else, but you gave me an opportunity to train my staff and talk to them about why this is important. And thank you. And we made it right. And she was impressed that I said that I was thanking her and I wasn't getting defensive and I wasn't like, oh, well, your kids did that. And you're doing the same thing with Event Hawk. I always appreciate when people come to us like, hey, Tariq, this didn't work or this. We're human. The team at Event Hawk, as you know, and I'd like you actually to talk about. We work hard, man. My team works super hard. They're here
I
every
know that.
day. They're on Zoom. Like we work remotely. I haven't met most of them, but they don't get to work in their underwear. Like they're sitting on Zoom all day ready for you guys. So tell me a little bit about that. What's your experience with the team at Event Hawk, with the business coaching? And just be honest, honestly. Like, I mean, just give some honest feedback.
It goes back to what we said earlier. It's all about communication. If people are there when you need them, you recognize that. And I'm again, it comes back to what I said earlier about being positive about your life and the people around you. I don't deal with the drama, and I know that every company has drama in its history. I know there have been incidents that people were unhappy with the circumstances, and that happens in life. And I think you give people an opportunity to prove themselves, and you communicate as clearly as you can. And if ever I was dissatisfied with you guys, I honestly can't remember. I get rid of the bad stuff in my background. I focus on the positive. So I can't honestly say that I can remember being in any way unhappy with the things that your company has ever done. I really feel that there have probably been obstacles and we've all had, clashes at times, but that's part of doing business together, and it's the result that matters.
Well, you said something very important, and you just kind of mentioned it, but I think it's really, really important for people to listen. You said that because the weather's warmer, I have to get with Event Hawk and send them my water slide pictures and things like that. That is so key that some people they pay us and they're expecting like a miracle, but it's a two-way partnership. Like we run your ads, you have to also we don't know if your phone's ringing or not. We don't know what your customers are talking about. We do know it's water slide season, whatever, but we're not gonna like there's only so much that we can do. And I love that even though you are paying us, you're not just paying the bill and just walking away. You're like, hey, I'm going to be proactive and I'm going to take some accountability. And I think a lot of us don't do that. I'm going to be very blunt. A lot of party rental business owners specifically, they don't take accountability. Once they sign up for a service, they expect everything done for them. And sure, we can do a lot for you, but I think again, listening to somebody who's been successful and done this for a while, he's somebody that didn't just kind of, say, oh well, if they don't do it, it's their fault. You're taking accountability, and maybe, and I'm not sure how the whole process is, but maybe it is our job to kind of do that. But you're not worried about it. You're like, hey, this is my business. This affects me. I'm going to go to you guys and I'm going to remind you guys and say, hey, here's some cool water slides. Talk to me a little bit about why that's important.
Well, it still comes back down to what we said earlier. It's about clear communication, and communication means it's two-way. And I said earlier, what you say often is not what people hear.
People hear,
So
absolutely.
being clear about what your expectation is, that's an important quality I haven't really touched on. I raised my children to understand that they had an expectation. My real image for them was, you're going to be a good student. You're going to be a good athlete. You're going to do this because it's important to your life. And I had an expectation for them. I think people live up to the expectations you have for them. If you don't tell them what the expectation is, how are they supposed to know? And most will not live up to what you think their expectation is. So communicate. That's what it gets down to, right?
I love it. That's so true. And that, you know what, that is that reminds me of the book How to Win Friends and Influence People. Really old book, but that's one of the rules. He says you have to give people a good reputation to live up to. If you're talking to your kids, to your workers, don't just say, "Hey, you're a liar." Say, "Hey, I know this probably was a mistake." Because you're an honest person, but you know you forgot this or that. So that's really cool that you mentioned that, giving people rather than accusing them, giving them a reputation to look up to. That's really great. Have you do you meet with the people at Event Hawk frequently? Do you have like a business coach? I know a lot of people talk about Lionel. Is that important
Dude, I love,
in your
yeah,
business?
Lionel's great about staying in touch, telling me and reminding me what needs to be done. I like your team. Your team reaches out to me when I need them. I do need to learn a lot more about how to communicate effectively with Meta, and that's not maybe your responsibility to teach me that, but I have a hard time really, especially with all these scams that are going on.
Yeah,
And you know,
absolutely.
I need to be able to trust the communication I'm getting. And it gets back to this issue about communication. I get so daggone frustrated with the communication that comes across to me. And so, yeah, I'm very happy with what Event Hawk has been able to provide in terms of getting back to me and telling me what they need to make what I want effective.
Effective. Now, well, specifically, it has meeting with, you know, a business, has meeting with our team frequently been essential to your success? The reason I ask that is, do you recommend that, again, people, some of these people, like we pay a ton in payroll. I pay a lot in payroll, and it's worth it. Like the people at Event Hawk, they worth every penny. But some people, we say, "Hey, it's time for your meeting. We want to check in with you," and they're like, "Hey, I'm too busy delivering water slides." So my question to you is, thank you for the kudos, but how important, or what kind of impact did meeting with Lionel, meeting with a business coach, meeting with our team repeatedly and consistently, what kind of impact did that have on your business and hitting some of your goals?
Well, there's no question about the fact if I'm not communicating to you, you can't know how to do the job that I'm expecting you to do. So, yeah, that responsibility falls on us, the owners. Unlike a lot of people, my payroll is pretty high. I'm operating at over 40% right now. I don't think most
Mm,
business starting out could really do that. I can do it because I don't have much debt.
that got
And
it.
the fact that I'm able to invest in my people means the same thing about investing in you. I have to invest in you, not just the same way that I'm paying my employees. I need to invest in you to make sure that I'm giving you all the tools you need to do the job I expect from you. So, yeah, you know, those, I'm guilty. You're right. You've tried to reach out to me a lot of times, and I said I can't do it. You know, I'm busy, and I paid the price for that. I understand that, but I'm just glad you're there when we need you.
Let's touch on one last thing with marketing. How what do you say to people who say, "Well, Tom, all this sounds great, but I'm not quite ready to hire Event Hawk yet, or I'm not quite ready to run Facebook ads. Maybe when I have a few more units, or maybe when I'm a little bit bigger." I guess, when did you start to incorporate digital marketing? Maybe even before you signed up with us, right? But when did you start to incorporate a website and digital marketing into your business, and paid ads? Because some people, they will, for the life, I will not pay for ads. I'll just post on Marketplace forever. So for those people, what advice do you have for people who just don't feel like they're ready yet to get professional marketing?
Well, there are dollars that you can spend that aren't going to grow, and it goes back to what I said about investing 30% of your income into things that grow in value. Getting your message out is the best way to grow your business. And if you're not getting it out effectively, you're just not going to grow effectively. So I understand that you better market appropriately with a huge percentage. I've already said 20 to 30% into things that grow in your value. You know, the rule of thumb is 10% in advertising.
Right.
10% of your revenue ought to go into advertising. I've always kind of exceeded the rules of thumb.
Really?
Well, yeah, I just feel like, you know, if people don't know you're out there, you're not going to get the response that you want. And once you expose your quality, then you're going to get repeat business. They're going to get an opportunity for us to share our business with more customers. So yeah, people need to spend that money. They need to go out there and make sure that they're hiring professionals that can get the message out. I used to do TV a lot because I was
TV
background
ads.
TV,
Yeah.
and I thought too, and I did a lot of radio also. That's not conducive to our business. I stopped doing that a long time ago. Used to run TV ads. One thing I do is I give people discounts on their rental if they will include my logo and include anything that they do in social media or in paper media, flyers or whatever, signs, include my logo and say, we're partnering with super fun attractions for this event. And that's another way of getting my message out. It's not including digital, but it's another way of giving a discount to a customer to promote for me.
Wow. So you make them like an affiliate almost.
Yes.
That's very cool. So you're like, I'll sponsor. That's cool. So you do that, not obviously not for backyards, but for the
Yeah, we're doing six.
events.
We're doing 6 major events for July 4th. Major events, big events, and I'm
Amazing.
giving some pretty significant discounts if all of their promotion for their fireworks show and their promotion for their entertainment, if they're putting my logo out there and saying we're contributing to make this event a success, I'm giving them a discount for doing that for us, and we're getting the advantage of more advertising by doing that.
Let's talk a little bit about and as we wrap up here, we'll talk a little bit about sales. So what are some of your obviously you have a sales team, right? You don't answer the
Oh
phones.
no, I actually don't.
Oh, you don't?
I really don't.
You answer the phones when customers call? You do the
And
same
my
thing?
ops manager, Chuck, and myself answer the phones,
Right.
and we
Okay.
get overwhelmed during the busy season. I really need to hire somebody to
How
do
did
that.
you sit here and talk to me this whole time without the phone? So Chuck's answering the phone maybe right now.
Yeah, Chuck, and I've
Okay.
got a couple of other guys that do answer the phone for me. But
Okay, gotcha. So you have a couple guys. What is your like? What tips do you have for some people who are like, Tom, I don't know how you're getting these prices. I get a bunch of lowballers or I know we talked a little bit about about competition and price. So I don't want to focus on that. I guess give me some sales advice here for people who are watching who are newer for how to sell. Are you selling? First of all, let's talk about this. Are you selling mainly over the phone? Are you doing text through EventHawk? How are you mainly? Are people just booking online? What's worked for you?
well, all of the above. But we try to, as much as I love the phone, and we do. I love talking to folks. As you might expect, communication is part of what my background. But we can't do that and do the volume of business. So because of IO, Inflatable Office has been just awesome for us in being able to create templates to say what I used to say in verbal conversation to 1,000 people a week. And so now those templates go out. I'll tell people, here's how we operate. And those templates are designed to cover those things that are most often brought up by new customers or even old customers. So we have now a multitude of templates. And so when somebody calls with a complaint or an issue or a question, we direct them to the website. We don't take orders on the phone.
Oh, you don't take orders over the phone?
No, very rarely, and I discourage it completely. That's where confusion also used to come into my business.
So
Somebody
what do
would
you do
say,
when somebody calls you? You say you hang up. You say go to my website.
yeah, go to the website. Our system is set up. You can get a quote just by clicking, well, get a quote, and you guys have designed it so beautifully. My website is so
Yeah, I'm
easy.
looking at your website right now. I'm like, man, we designed this. This looks great. I need to get my website
Yeah,
redone.
and,
It's
and
it's superfun.lol, right? I
that's
hope
correct. We're always laughing out loud here.
you're gonna get a lot of people from all over the country visiting your site,
So
watching this.
yeah, but
Um,
the point I'm making is that I love talking to folks, but I can't run my business if I spent the time you and I are spending right here talking to every customer.
yeah, yeah.
We touch on the question. We encourage the person to open up to us. And by the way, EventHawk gives us the opportunity to communicate with templates so easily. So once we see a person on there and they're exploring, we can send a template saying you haven't followed through, and we offer a lot of different opportunities for them to get communication with us. But almost everything, we do a lot of our business now auto booking, except we can't auto book within 2 weeks of the event.
So
But
I still okay. So you're telling me I've never talked to anybody who does a lot of the volume that you do that's had success, the kind of success you're describing with online. Usually it's like it could be a hybrid where, hey, we can, we can build you the quote and then send it to you to pay. I'm not going to take your credit card over the phone. But you're saying like these people, you just tell them, hey, why are you calling me? Go to the website, or like give me some details.
Yeah, we've got too many people that waste our time with that, especially a lot of the, the low ballers, the guys that are in there looking for cheap business.
My
They don't want
prices
to
are on
take,
my website. Why are you calling me? That's
if
that's what
somebody
you're
doesn't
telling.
want to take the time to give us the information necessary, I don't really want to spend my time with them. They're usually dollar wise not worth it. I don't mean to diminish the need for that market. There are people out there to serve them. It's just not our market. So take the time, give us the information, and we'll be glad to give you a lot of our information is available just electronically. That's where the world is going right now. So you can't do the business that we're doing by not being efficient in the way you communicate.
So you use the phone basically for answering questions like, hey, what happens if it rains? What time do you guys deliver? Those kind of things.
And when that happens, I say to them, I'm glad to answer that question. But as a new customer, you're going to have a lot more questions that are going to occur to you as you become involved in this process. So go to our website. At the very top, there's a button that says FAQ. That's for frequently asked questions. If you just click on that, you're going to see a lot of the answers to the questions that are going to occur to you over the next 30 days.
Oh my God, that is perfect. I'm taking this recording and I'm going to use that. I'm glad to answer that question, but you're going to have a lot more. So go to my website. That is
Right.
genius. I'm learning so much, man. I'm learning so much. Supervision. What's supervision?
Oh, that means if you want our people to.
Oh, supervision. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm thinking of,
it
I'm thinking of,
is.
I'm looking at super fun and I'm like supervision.
It is supervision. That's us.
I'm like
We're supervisors.
supervision.
That's right.
All right, so you offer supervision, and then you got national awards on there, and your FAQ. You've done a lot of work on this. You got a rain check guarantee.
We do. And we don't, by the way, with the rain check guarantee, that's another issue that a lot of people wrestle with. And the fact I've been communicating with some owners, in the bounce house, online, a lot of people are really hurting right now because of the refunds they're giving because of bad weather.
Yeah.
And frankly, we started a long time ago saying we don't give refunds. Once you commit, you are committing to us, and we'll give you a credit. And I don't let that credit expire. In fact, I've honored credits 2 or 3 years later.
Yeah.
But the fact is that you're committing to do an event, and there could be a lot of reasons why you might have to postpone. It may not just be weather; it may be a sick child, or the guests can't arrive, or for whatever reason, we're going to call you just before we come out and serve you that day. And if you say to us, for whatever reason, I think I can't go forward with this event, we're going to give you a credit. You can do it anytime in the future. But once our crew arrives, I don't care if the weather's bad or not. It's just like you're sitting in a football game in a snowstorm watching the players out there. You have committed to that, and there is no refund for that. I found that we couldn't stay in business if we gave people refunds because there's a lot of capricious contract ordering out there. Customers will sign a contract and then say, I'm going to wait until I see what the weather's like before I decide if I'm going to pay for this. And people will say, well, maybe I'll take this contract and see if Joe down the street will knock $100 off of this. And so, we stopped after the first couple of years doing the refunds and said, no, it's a credit. Now, I've had people say to me, but suppose they're not going to have a party ever again. Well, I said, that's pretty rare, and it happens.
Can
But
they
if that's your
transfer it to somebody
customer,
else?
is that what?
Can they transfer it to a friend or family member?
Yeah, I allow that to happen. Sure. But the point being that, gosh, if they're never going to have another event with you, is that your customer that's going to help you grow?
Well said. Well said, Tom. Well said. Last question. Last question. What about off season? So you're in Virginia. You're like me in Chicago here. How do you survive the off season?
How do I survive it? I survive it in
How do you survive? You're surviving in Florida. I love it. I love it. You and I meet up every November. So I know that for a fact. We meet up at IAPA in Florida. But how does your party rental business survive the off season? What advice do you have for people?
Yeah, that's the tough part. I had to
in the colder areas.
Yeah, that's why my labor's so high, to be honest with you. That's one of the reasons, because in the wintertime, we tried to attract, and you guys helped me promote this, and it worked very well. You guys helped me with promotion ads and the website.
Oh, you had the events.
Yes, we
Yeah,
do
I
events.
remember that.
We do events, and
In your warehouse space.
we don't do a lot of them, but I do them for some of my best customers. We open it up to churches and schools, and we do events in there. And the rest of the time, frankly, what I ended up doing, I had a lot of youngsters, well, not 20 somethings and 30 something guys that had been with me for a while. I guaranteed them 20 hours a week to be able to work with us, or 15 hours a week. Even if they didn't have any work for them, I guaranteed them that money.
You still
I
paid them
to keep them, to make sure that they could survive the winter also. And they cleaned and they worked in the warehouse and they supervised the major events. And every month we would do a few events outside. We'd go inside
Yeah.
gymnasiums and that sort of thing, but not enough to really pay for the labor. That was my investment in them and keeping them, so that I'd make sure that I had some good people that I could count on when the season started to grow again. And that always happens about the first or second week in March. It
Listen, Tom,
explodes in April.
most people are listening to you right now, like, that's crazy. You're losing so much money paying these guys in the off season. But it all goes back to what you started with. What's more important than the money is the lifestyle that you want, is the lifestyle that the money was supposed to bring. So you're willing to make less and have that higher payroll so that come April, you don't have to worry about hiring the new guys. You've got the crew so that you can, God forbid, take a vacation in June, or spend some time with your family on the weekend in July instead of being delivering. Do I have that right?
You got it right.
You're investing in
That's
what
right.
you want, and you're happy to pay the money. You're exchanging the money for the time.
Now, I'm also, while I'm in Florida, I'm spending from 8 in the morning until noon on the phone talking to my good customers, even if it's not because of some event that they have planning. We're discussing what they did last year, talking about next year. I'm just, introducing myself to a lot of people, but keeping a connection, just like you would with any family member. And that's
Really?
what I do in the wintertime. And then by noon, I put on my bathing suit and go out by the pool.
So wait, you just call random customers even
No,
if they don't have an
usually
event?
I'm going through my lead list.
Your lead.
I'm looking at those people that had done something in 23, but not 24. And I'm calling them before 25 arrives to find out why.
Ah, really? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And you're going after the bigger ones and saying, "Hey, why didn't I earn your business last year?
Exactly.
Who poached you?"
Yeah. Well, don't put it that way, but you're
Don't
right.
put it that way. Okay.
That's what we're trying to find.
And that works. That, like, that
It
actually
does.
works to switch them back over.
It sure does. Yeah.
Oh.
In fact, well, a lot of that is because my major competition went out of business this year. I had two companies in our community. One of them was a company called Bounce, Play, and Create. They had an indoor facility. They survived real well in the wintertime when people would go inside. And I tried that many years ago. It was too expensive for me. I didn't want to get involved in that, and it kept me from being in Florida, so I didn't do it. The point being that this company, had gone through about 3 iterations. 3 different people owned it. One person built it, and then they sold it, and then somebody else came in and ran it. They sold it, and that person that they sold it to went out of business this year. So all of a sudden, we're getting, a lot of customers who were gone for 2 or 3 years because they went with a cheaper price. We have something too that's a little different. We do what we call a loyalty customer discount. I know a lot of people don't believe in discounting, but I do discount. And we discount every time somebody rents from us. We credit at least $25 in their account if they do a survey at the end of the event. And we send that automatically through Inflatable Office. If they complete that survey, and it's a candid and honest survey, and we're encouraging a Google review also, or Facebook review. We can't require that. But
Right.
That survey earns them a discount. We have people getting 20 and 30 and 40%, even 50% discounts on our normal rental because they've been with us for 10 years and they're getting that discount. So that loyalty customer discount, we give that to the people that stuck with us, but the new guys that were gone for 2 or 3 years, no, they don't get it. They pay full price.
So, how do you do logistically? They do the survey. Like, do you have to manually apply that discount, or do you have it automated?
Yeah, I do. And that takes a lot of time. It is time consuming to do that. I wish there were a better way to automate it, but I haven't found a way to do that.
Got it. Got it. Very cool. Wow, you're so innovative. I love that. Very cool. Tom, this has been really, really great. If, as you know, or maybe you don't know, we have a mentors program where they can obviously speak to me, they can speak to Lionel, but we also want to offer, if they want to speak to other party rental business owners who don't work for Event Hawk. Are you currently a mentor there? I don't think so.
No, I'm not.
Would you be open? Would you be open to joining that program? If people are watching this and are like, man, I want to talk with this guy one-on-one, even just to get, honestly, I want to talk to you about some financial stuff, because you actually understand our industry, but then you also you understand other industries. And I think that's gold. So if anybody wanted to talk to you one-on-one like that, would you be open to that?
Yeah, I'd love to, especially in the wintertime. This is time of the year. It's a little hard to do that.
Yeah,
maybe I could develop a template to send them.
There you go. Think it's smart. Well, I'll get with the team and we'll definitely get you added. By the time they're watching this, you're probably already on there. Tom, this has been a huge pleasure. Anything else you want to end with?
No, I appreciate the opportunity to talk with you, Tariq, and I'm grateful for all that you've done for us.
Thank you so much, Tom. This has been Tom Slonaker. Awesome interview. I really, really enjoyed this, Tom. Super glad that we got to do this. Thank you for your time, and we'll see you guys on the next one.
Thank you again for watching the podcast. Thank you to our guest. Thank you to you guys for watching, for sharing. Don't forget, if you guys want the information and the links and resources mentioned in this episode, go ahead and comment podcast or text the word podcast to 708-401-6465. Again, that's 708-401-6465. And if you're interested in learning about Event Hawk services, we'll have a link there to schedule a free demo with us. No commitment. You don't have to commit. Just schedule a time with us and subscribe to this podcast. And we'll see you guys on the next episode. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Let me know what you guys think, what you guys want to see more of, who you guys want me to interview next. Looking forward to hearing from you guys. I'm Tariq with Event Hawk. I'll see you on the next one.